Hi, everybody. Many of you at the school know me as Mrs. Watson. I teach visual art at the upper school. And today I'm here with my husband, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
Who's graciously agreed to help me with this demo. We know that online teaching or online learning or, I don't know, dealing with a global pandemic can in fact be a little bit stressful. So today we're here to help you practice a little self-care. And one of my very favorite ways to unwind is to actually take a hot bath. And I'm a big fan of bath bombs. I love them. I love relaxing in the tub after a long day. But obviously, we can't just run to the mall right now and pick up bath bombs as much as I would love to. So today we're actually going to show you how to make your own bath bombs. This is something that we've been doing for several years. We really enjoy making our own bath bombs. We've experimented with a lot of different recipes. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to show you sort of a base recipe, like kind of the most basic version. And then there's a lot of creativity that you can bring to sort of tweak the recipes, add different aromas, add different colors, different additives to sort of make them very individual. But our goal is that this base recipe will be mainly things that you already have laying around in your kitchen. And I used to make these, but to be completely honest with you, Jeff has been making them for the last few years, and he's sort of really perfected the recipe. So I'm going to let him sort of demo them for us, and then I'll be here to assist and ask him questions.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Well, the actual basic recipe is fairly easy, and it doesn't have a lot of ingredients, and most of which you probably already have around the house. But if not, most of them are really easy to come by as well. So let's talk quickly about what you're going to need in order to be able to make them. So first of all, you're going to need cornstarch, about a cup of cornstarch. You're also going to need a cup of baking soda. You're going to need 2/3 of a cup of citric acid.
Okay.
And then you're also going to potentially want some Epsom salt. So
Okay, so just to pause there, definitely got cornstarch, baking soda, the Epsom salt, which is optional, but most people probably have some kind of bath salt. But okay, so citric acid, that's the one that might seem a little weird to some. We normally do have citric acid in the house because we use it for canning. But if you don't have citric acid in the house, any mild acid will work, but citric acid is really easy to come by. You can get it at grocery stores, you can order it online. Again, normally in the canning aisle is where you're going to find the citric acid. Okay.
Yep. And then the last thing that you're going to need is your liquid in order to be able to hold all the dry ingredients together. And for that, we're going to use coconut oil.
Okay. So, all right, coconut oil.
Yep.
I know there's like fractionated coconut oil, unfractionated coconut oil.
Right.
What is this? What are we using?
This is just your normal everyday coconut oil that you can find in the grocery store. So it looks like a solid at room temperature.
This is fractionated or not fractionated?
This is not fractionated.
Okay,
This is regular coconut oil that you can find in the grocery store.
Okay.
And the reason I prefer to use this kind versus the fractionated coconut oil, the biggest difference is this one's a solid at room temperature. Fractionated coconut oil is a liquid at room temperature.
Gotcha.
And so I like to use this one because obviously if these are going to be sitting out, like in your bathtub or in your bathroom ready for you to use, you just want it to stay a solid. So this helps it to stay a solid
Okay.
a little bit better. And that way it doesn't leak coconut oil on some of your things.
Great.
So that's what we're going to use.
Okay, so we have our ingredients. What next?
All right, let's start making them. The first thing we need to do is we need to get our coconut oil to a liquid. So all we're going to do is we're going to pop this in the microwave. It's only going to take about a minute, but we're going to do it in 2 30-second segments.
Okay.
That way we can stir it halfway through.
Great.
The other thing that we're going to use is going to be, we need to flavor or scent our bath bombs. And so we're going to use a couple of different scents.
Great. So to create the actual aroma of the bath bombs, we're going to use essential oils. And again, in the end, I'll sort of give you some different recipes, some different essential oil combinations that we really like. But one of our absolute favorites is actually to mix bergamot and lemongrass. I am a big fan of a bath bomb from a certain retailer that involves avocado. And the mixture of bergamot and lemongrass gets a very close approximation to my favorite bath bomb.
Yep. So those are the ones that we're going to use, and you're going to only need around 35 drops of essential oils in order to be able to make it work. So it's starting to get liquidy, so I'm going to go ahead and just pop this in for another 30 seconds. And we should be good to go.
Great. So we talked about the essential oils. The next thing would be if you want your bath bombs to have a particular color. The bath bomb that we're going to be making today is actually not going to have a color. It's going to be just pretty simple white. You'll still get a really lovely sort of effervescent fizz in the bathtub. But if you do want a color, right, there are certain additives that you can use. And again, we'll give you some suggestions at the end. But even things like green tea gives you a really lovely green color. I've used paprika to create orange colors. Hibiscus powder. There's lots of really lovely natural colorings that you can use. But one of the reasons that we like to skip that step is that when we were buying bath bombs from a major retailer, you take this wonderful relaxing bath, and then you'd have a stained bathtub that you were having to clean.
And then you had to spend the next 15 minutes after you got out of your relaxing bath scrubbing the bathtub. So it sort of felt like it was defeating the purpose just a little bit.
Maybe not the most relaxing.
So we've just decided that we like them without any color in them at all. You can certainly do things to help make that if you do want the color.
And we have done things like, for example, I have some dried lavender here. So you can do things like sprinkle in flower petals, lavender. We even put star anise in a bath bomb recently. Yep. So you can certainly add many wonderful things to make them interesting.
So now we have all of our ingredients ready, so let's make a bath bomb.
Okay.
All right, so while I'm going to start dumping in all of the dry ingredients, we need to get our oils into the coconut oil. So we're going to use 35 drops of
and how
oils.
Much of each one?
So we're going to use 20 of the bergamot and 15 of the lemongrass.
Great.
All right. So I'm going to start by adding in my cornstarch. I'm just going to mix all of the dry ingredients together pretty easily. Here is my baking soda. Here's my citric acid. Smells good already.
Yeah.
And here is the Epsom salt. So now all we need to do is just mix this together. Now if there are any clumps in here, you can just break them up with your whisk if you want to. Obviously we're going to be getting in there and mixing it up with our hands in just a second. So as you come across the clumps, just break them up. But if there happens to be some in there, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to dissolve and evaporate pretty quickly once you get it into the bath. All right. Okay, so now that we have our dry ingredients mixed, now we're just going to pour. You want to make sure that you pour the oil pretty slowly. That way you don't create a reaction with the citric acid and the baking soda. So if you want to go ahead and just pour a little bit.
Yes, excuse me. Excuse me.
So the other thing is when you're trying to get the right consistency, you want to make sure that it's going to be the consistency of wet sand.
Okay.
And like just barely wet sand. So the less dry that it is, the more dry that it is, the better.
All right, ready for a little more? Are you ready for more?
Yep, go ahead. All right, starting to get clumpy.
I see that.
Okay, a little bit more. Gonna get pretty close. So the original recipe is going to call for around half a cup of coconut oil. I find that the less oil that you use, the better it's ultimately going to make your bath bomb. So again, you just want barely wet sand is what it's going to look like. And it looks like just enough to sort of make sure that it has a little bit of a shape when you can sort of clump it together. And I think we're pretty much there. You can give me ever so slightly more. Okay. All right.
All right, now what?
Now that we have this, we need to make the actual bath bomb.
Okay.
So we have a bath bomb mold that we got, and these you can easily just get on Amazon or anywhere online, really.
Okay.
And it just looks like this. So it's basically two halves in a little metal thing. And all you need to do is just take them and scoop them together. And then you're going to push them until you get all the excess out. Come through, get everything off the sides. I like to give it a little bit of a turn. And then you can take the top off.
Oh wow, look at that.
Take the bottom off. If it doesn't want to come out nice and neatly, you can always just use the back of the spoon to tap it, and that will come out.
Oh, beautiful.
And then you can just set that right there.
Now, let's say that you don't have a metal bath bomb.
Sure.
Form. We've got some options for you.
We have options.
So, a very simple way to do this is just either with a piece of saran wrap or a Ziploc bag.
Mhm.
Now, your bath bombs may not be perfectly round, but they will still do the trick. They'll smell lovely, they'll fizz, they'll do all the things that you want a bath bomb to do. If you take your saran wrap, and you just kind of, I'm going to actually let you hold the saran wrap for me. Sort of take a handful of your bath bomb material, sort of press it together so you're starting to get kind of that circular shape. Then what you can do is actually just take it and pop it right into your saran wrap. Pull your saran wrap up around it, and then you can shape it a little bit more.
Yep.
Right, use that to hold it together. So you get more or less sort of a ball. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Nope.
Right? Now, you can actually sort of put a rubber band around this and keep it in your saran wrap until it hardens up. If you're letting these harden up just generally, I would say about 24 hours until they're ready to use. So you can just twist that off, right? Leave it in its Ziploc bag for about 24 hours. But let's say you're in a little bit of a hurry and you don't want to wait 24 hours. Is there anything we can do?
There is. So I just found out that you can actually take bath bombs. You can put them in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and then they are ready to use.
Awesome.
So that makes it even easier and faster.
Great. So I think Jeff is going to make us a few other bath bombs. I'm going to show you that handout. So again, we're going to make sure that we link this so that everybody has a view of it. But just to kind of look at a couple of things with you quickly. So if you look down at the handout, you're going to have the basic recipe here. And then you'll notice there'll be a section for you to experiment with different essential oil blends. So here we have a lavender, cedarwood, ylang ylang, and sandalwood. It's a really lovely blend. Even just lavender by itself, if you're looking for something to really relax you. Again, the one we made today was lemongrass and bergamot. A lot of people really love citrus, right? So a citrus bath bomb can be really lovely. So you could use wild orange, lemon, grapefruit. Additives, right? So we talked about dried herbals, things like lavender, rose petals, you know, anything that you want to put in. We've used a variety of different bath salts. And of course, if you're making these for kids, right, you could always add in toys or prizes. And then colorings, natural colorings like green tea, hibiscus powder, things like even paprika. If you're making that citrus bath bomb and you actually want it to be orange, the paprika gets you a really lovely orange color. You can also, of course, use soap dyes if you want a little shimmer, maybe a little mica powder. There's so many different things you can do. But if you use this base recipe and then build off of that, it can really be both a really creative process and again, something that afterwards gives you a really lovely, relaxing product for self-care. All right, so I'm gonna pause. We're gonna check back in with Jeff and see how he's doing.
Pretty good. I'm about to do my last one.
Are you already?
Yep. Again, it's a really fast process from start to finish.
Okay. And so just looking at the amount, it looks like we got about almost five and a half bath bombs out of that amount.
Yeah, basically.
So we got 6, right? We got his 5 and then my little one that I made in the saran wrap. So a pretty good amount for honestly not a lot of money. Like
No.
the materials are very cost effective.
Yeah, I know. When you think about buying individual bath bombs, it can become a little expensive.
definitely.
And if you've got all of the ingredients on hand, you can make them pretty quickly. You don't have to make a trip to the store, and you can sort of make them however you want to make them.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to relax. Well, thank you so much for showing us your proven method. I can attest to the fact that it's a really lovely way to unwind. And we hope that as we go to break this week, that everybody will find that downtime. You'll find a place to unwind and relax.
All right, well, I guess we're going to pop these in the freezer, and
Yes,
you should start
please.
some bath bombs.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
take care,
everybody. We'll see
everybody.
you soon.